Today we want to answer the question how to learn a rotation properly in Guild Wars 2 PvE. This is a question that a lot of new players ask themselves when they want to learn a perfect rotation in Guild Wars 2 to actually deal the most amount of damage. I want to answer this question today in this video not only as concise as possible, but of course also as correctly as possible. As always, special thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now let's jump straight in. So first, a small disclaimer here. This is my way how I learn the rotation. That is not the only one. This is really important. There are multiple ways how to learn your rotation, how to perfectionize it. This is completely fine. I'm just saying my way works for me, and I think it would work for most of you as well. And it's not like every single step for every single build is the same. It's just a very interesting way to do it, and I think it works for almost every build, and it should work for most of your playstyles too. So let's start with the first very important thing to note here. That is that a rotation in Guild Wars 2 is extremely important. I can't stress it enough. So if you say, nah, I know which skills are actually good to use because they deal the most amount of damage or they have the most amount of healing. Yes, of course, you're correct. This is a good step to actually understanding your build. But oftentimes setting up your rotation improves your DPS by so much that you actually can double your DPS by just checking which skills you should use in, let's say, conjunction with each other, using in order successively to actually get the most amount of damage. An example here would, for example, be Dragon Hunter, where you use the spear, the F1 skill, and use all your really high DPS skills in this, so to say, enemy being speared phase. And only then you get the highest amount of damage, because this is where all the multipliers fall together. So if you understand this, then your rotation will improve significantly, rather than just knowing, okay, this trap skill does a lot of damage, I will use it off cooldown. This is just the first step, so that's the really important part here. Rotation is extremely important in Guild Wars 2. What I also want to mention here is, this is only for PvE, because only in PvE rotations matter. In other game modes, there is not a clear rotation. You should more focus on using combos and adjusting to the situation. But this rotation here is for quick DPS, alacrity DPS, as well as DPS. And that's the important part. Some healers also have a rotation attached to them, which is way more loose, but you should still try to test it first and improve on it in a, so to say, dummy situation without any real fail state. This is the important part. You should still learn your rotation or your part of your rotation as a healer as well. But this is mainly focused to DPS, of course. So before I get to start with my way, I want to mention, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. But now finally, let's start with my way. How do I do it? So I go to the Golem area in Lion's Arch Airdrome, the Special Forces training area. And there I start by checking, for example, Snow Crows, checking a build guide, and just checking how the rotation starts. So the opener. Why is this so important? Because the opener is like insane. Understand that the opener in Guild Wars 2 is the thing that you will always do. It doesn't matter if you're doing strikes, fractals, raids, whatever. Every time you will do the opener. If the boss fight is over after 10 minutes or 10 seconds, the opener is always there. So getting the opener nailed down is the most important thing to do. So always start by learning the opener and doing the opener correctly. Don't even look at the loop before you get the opener correct. This is the really important part. So if you understand the opener, let's say 5, 10, 20 steps of the opener, if everything works perfectly, then you go to the next thing. Look at the loop. Look at the first weapon loop. Look at the second loop. And slowly add more to it. Always start with the opener. Try to use the opener perfectly. Go to the next step. So go to the loop. If you fail part of the loop, reset your golem and do the opener again. Do the loop until you get to a point where you did a mistake and repeat. This way, yes, it might be a little bit annoying to actually always do the opener, but this way you get the muscle memory of the opener so perfectly done that you will always have the opener perfectly done in every situation, even if it's chaotic, if there's some weird phase happening, always you get the opener done if you do it like that. So that means that you always start with the opener, go to the loop, go to the next part of the loop, and if you get it done perfectly until the end, then you're good, then you are done. But if you fail a few things in the loop, in the opener, whatever, then you always reset so that you get the chance of getting it right again. This is patience, yes, it's real training, it's really mental thing to actually keep grinding this, but I personally think this is well worth it, yeah? And you repeat this whole process of going back, trying everything until you get it down to, let's say, 90% of the golem benchmark that the others get with perfect gear. If you are not that perfectionist, you can also say 85% or something like that is fine as well. And then you leave the golem area and say I try it out in real situations. So maybe in some open world fights, even though that I wouldn't recommend that because you can't guarantee the boon uptime there. I would more go for easy strike missions, then into easy raids and a little bit harder raids. Maybe do it in fractals as well. However, in fractals, I also want to mention in fractals it's way more important that you use your opener correctly, and after that use your burst skills. It's not really important in fractals, for example, especially in normal tier 4 fractals, that you get the rotation perfectly down, because the rotation might be altered because there are way more burst phases in that sense. So it's really important that you get the burst down and not a real crazy rotation that goes for 10 minutes. Yeah, but still, it's a good place to grind there. So for me, it's always important to go with the steps. So always start with the golem, get it down to 80 to 90 to obviously 100% would be perfect of the benchmark, yeah. And then you go into easy strike missions, raids, fractals, even open world fights where you can guarantee good boon uptime, convergences, stuff like that, so that you can train in real situations. And if you then get high benchmark number or high numbers there as well in the fight, then you are golden. This is how I would do it. But then I also want to mention here, I, as a player, would always revisit the golem room as well. So I would not say, okay, I now did it once and I'm done. I would also let's say now and then I go back to the golem and just try to get the same number again, so that I don't get rusty or that I don't forget something that is important or whatever, so that you still can keep up with that stuff and check if you're still up to date with your rotation. This is not only true for going back to the golem room, but also if there's a balance patch, check out the new websites or the build guides that come up that are updated with the new balance patch. Maybe the rotation changes, maybe you have to adjust your gear even, that could happen. So I think this is very important, but that's of course only very min-maxy, but I would recommend that to do. And then the last part that I want to mention here is you should always adjust to mechanics, and this is something that you will learn over time. So if, for example, you know there will be a phase coming up at 66%, and you currently are like in your downfall of your, so to say, burst loop, and your first opener attacks already coming up, and you would usually don't use them for the next few seconds, you can still use them because you know that the phase will happen, so you want to get as much damage into the boss before you actually get in to face it. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So in my opinion, learning how a fight works comes with time, and you will get the experience for that. But this is something that you should, let's say, keep in mind, that the perfect rotation on the golem doesn't mean you are a perfect player on this build yet. It means that you have to play it on every boss, have to play it multiple times on every boss in multiple different groups and scenarios, and only then you actually understand the build well enough and the situation, how to play this build, how to adjust it to chaotic fights, how to adjust to specific encounters, mechanics, whatever. This comes with time, and this experience is something that makes you the most knowledgeable player. This is really the thing. Learning the rotation doesn't stop after the golem room. This is what I want to say here. So I hope you enjoyed this quick, concise guide. If you have any comments on that, please let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, thanks a lot to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon, and I hope to see you all in the next video.